Hola amigos, and welcome to my lesson on el presente progresivo, a do verb tense for you in Spanish. Ole! Before we start into the presente progresivo, which is new to us, I'd like to do a quick review of the good old-fashioned presente, which you used consistently throughout Spanish 101. At that time, you learned about AR, ER, and IR verbs like trabajar, leer, and abrir, and you've now learned all of the regular endings for those verbs, and hopefully you're pretty comfortable with them. But here are just some examples to jog your memory. For AR verbs, o, as, a, amos, a. For ER verbs, o, es, e, hemos, en. And for IR verbs, o, es, e, imos, en. So hopefully that's a very boring review. Now let us slide into the presente progresivo. We'll still be speaking in the present, but the present progressive focuses on something that is happening right now at this very minute, like the fact that I am speaking and you are listening. The presente progresivo has two steps. The first step is to conjugate estar. And hopefully you're thinking to yourself, yay, I already know estar very well, because you should know estar very well. But here it is in the presente, just for the sake of review. Estoy, estás, está. Estamos, estáis, están. And you just pick the one that agrees with the subject you're talking about. So yo estoy, él está, etc. The second step of the presente progresivo is to form the participio presente, which you might also call a gerundio. I frankly don't care what you call it as long as you know how to make it. So you take an AR verb like nadar, you drop the AR and stick on the ando ending to make nadando. So if you put together steps 1 and 2, you could create a verb like estoy nadando, for I am swimming. And you say this when it is really going on, when you are in the water and you're in your bathing suit. You would shout to a friend, estoy nadando, I am swimming. For an ER or IR verb, you drop the ER or IR ending and you put on yendo to make the participio presente. So you might create a verb like, ¿Estás corriendo? Are you running? To ask someone if he or she is running at that very moment. Or you could create a verb like, estamos viviendo. We are living. So I ask you, ¿qué estás haciendo en este momento? Maybe you want to push pause and think about that for a second. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Yo estoy enseñando. Yo estoy enseñando. If you don't know what that means, go back to your infinitive enseñar, which is an oldie but a goodie. Muy bien. There are a couple special forms to keep in mind regarding participios presentes, and frankly, you just have to memorize them. So here's one family of them. Leyendo, oyendo, trayendo, yendo, rarely used, but it does exist, pudiendo, and viniendo. These are very commonly used verbs. Hopefully you already know what they all mean. If you don't, make sure you go back and look them up. Some other special forms in the participio presente are the following: prefiriendo, sintiendo, consiguiendo, pidiendo, siguiendo, and durmiendo. This is not a random list at all. Notice that all of these are IR verbs that also happen to be stem changers. So you can keep that tendency in mind as you work along. And here we have some examples of the presente progresivo being used. No podemos hablar con Luis porque está estudiando para su examen. La profesora está escribiendo y los estudiantes están aprendiendo. Eduardo, ¿puedes ayudarme o estás leyendo? Nadie está durmiendo en clase, todos estamos pensando. Notice both steps being used, estar and then the present participle. Bien. Here's some examples I'd like you to try. You can look at these and push pause, write a creative sentence that uses these steps, the subject and the time, and then I'll show you some possible answers. Muchas gracias, clase.